Okay, so where we left off yesterday was when Sarah comes to visit Livy, and she says she's just there for the sweatshirt, but then at the end, Sarah says, "I didn't really come here for the hoodie," and Bob says, "I knew it." So now we're on to Livy's perspective. "You didn't?" I asked Sarah. She shakes her head. "I wanted to see you, and I kind of wanted to see if you still had Violet and Abigail." "Who?" Sarah points to the other side of the bed where there are two dolls sitting up on the bedside table. I haven't even really looked at them before. "I think those are my mom's old dolls," I say, and I get this ping. My brain still hasn't forgotten about trying to sleep here without Mom in the house tonight. Sarah nods. "You were Violet, I was Abigail." "Really? Did we play with dolls last time? That's hilarious." "Why hilarious?" "Oh, not hilarious. I just mean, I haven't touched a doll in like 3 years." "I like dolls," Sarah says, "sometimes." "Really? But I'm what?" You just seem kind of grown up. You sort of have a job even." "Not sort of. I do have a job," Sarah says. "Every Friday night and every Sunday afternoon at Mom's restaurant. It's fun when I'm in the mood, which is definitely not every Friday night and Sunday afternoon." "So they make you?" "It's not like that. We all help out. Do what we can. Even Danny does stuff to help." "What can he do? He's only 7, right?" "He's pretty good at setting the tables before the restaurant opens. He knows where everything goes." Sarah glances at Mom's dolls again and says, "Confession, I come over here sometimes." "Why?" She shrugs. "To talk to your gran, to look at your mom's books," she smiles, "and to get away from Danny. I know you always wanted to be a big sister, but trust me, it can be annoying." "I've always wanted to be a big sister." "And now you are one, which is cool. I know your baby sister can't do much yet, but soon she'll follow you everywhere." "Everywhere? Even to the bathroom?" Sarah nods and then makes a face. "Everywhere. So sometimes I used to come over here and pretend this was my room and my bed and my books." "And your dolls?" She looks at them again. "Have you ever played Truth or Dare?" I ask her. She shakes her head. "I'll teach you. Truth or Dare is simple. You either do the dare or you have to answer one question, and you have to answer it honestly. I start off easy, daring Sarah to go down to the kitchen and bring something back without saying one word to Gran, even if she's standing right there. Sarah nods and marches off. As soon as she's gone, I run to the closet to check on Bob. "When is she leaving?" Bob asks. "I have something to tell you." "Soon," I say. "He's wearing what's left of the chicken suit. It's tight." He huffs a little. "How soon?" "Do you know her?" I ask. "She says she hung out in here sometimes." He nods. "Sometimes she came and looked at the dolls. Once she almost opened the closet. I hope you're not thinking of playing chess with her because I have a really good move. That's our game. Oh, great, here she comes." He pulls the closet door closed 1 second before Sarah walks in holding an egg. "My turn," she says. I casually turn my back to the closet as if there isn't a jealous green mysterious creature inside. "Okay, I pick dare. And you have to do whatever I dare you to do, or answer one question with the absolute truth, is that right?" I tell her yes, that's exactly right. And then Sarah dares me to drink a raw egg. "Are you sure that you haven't played this game before?" I ask suspiciously. "You seem very good at it, because this is exactly the kind of dare I would come up with if I really wanted to make someone choose truth." "I'm a fast learner," she says, holding up the egg. "So are you going to drink it? I could get a cup." I shake my head. "I'll take truth." Sarah smiles, throwing herself onto the middle of the bed. She leans over to grab Abigail and Violet and then gets up on her knees, holding up one doll in each hand. "Here's my question. Do you really not like playing with dolls anymore, or do you just think that you're too cool to play with dolls?" She kind of sticks her hip out when she says cool, but she's still smiling, and suddenly I like Sarah. I walk over and say, "Which one is Violet again?" She waggles the one wearing a blue dress. I take it from her and push Violet's black yarn hair out of her cloth face. Her dress is nice, actually. It's got puff sleeves and a shiny purple sash. "Okay, fine," I say. "Dolls are sort of fun." "I knew it!" Sarah hugs Abigail to her chest and says, "Let's forget Truth or Dare. Let's have a dance party with Abigail and Violet." She hops off the bed and presses play on the tape recorder, which is still lying on the floor, and our screechy 5-year-old voices start spilling out of it again. She grabs Abigail's hands and starts dancing her around at the foot of the bed, looking totally ridiculous. So I hold Violet's tiny little hands and start doing the tango. It's this crazy old dance my dad showed me once. When the horrible singing finally stops, we fall down on the rug, breathing hard. It's kind of great. I wonder if Sarah might be the kind of friend I can talk to. At home, some of my friends are like that, but not all of them. I thought Maya was like that until she told Audrey how my dad had to come and pick me up because I was too scared to sleep over. There's a clicking sound from the tape recorder, which I guess we left running, and then I hear my voice alone saying, "This is a story for when you're lonely, Bob. It's called, The Cow and the Pig. One day, a dog Tucker was walking down the road. I slam my hand down on top of it, hitting all the buttons at once. My voice stops. That was so cute, Sarah says. A story about a dog called The Cow and the Pig? Yeah, ha, I say funny. Who's Bob? She asks, sticking a cookie in her mouth. You asked about him before. There's no Bob around here. When I can't think of what to say, she says, maybe Bob was your invisible friend. I had an invisible friend? She flops back on the rug and says, sure, we both did. Mine was called Philippa. I hear a little voice from inside the closet behind me and quickly move my foot so it might seem like I just kicked the door by accident. You remember a lot about when I was here before, I tell Sarah. Well, we don't get a lot of visitors. Hey, speaking of your invisible friend, have you dug up your time capsule yet? My what? Your time capsule. That's what you called it. You said you were going to bury it before you went back home. This feels important. Do you happen to remember where I buried it? She smiles. Sorry, I can't remember things I never knew. You said it was for your invisible friend. Maybe you should ask him. And then she laughs. Bob. Livy laughs too, but only for a second. Then she asks, all casual like, is Philippa still around? My little green heart is beating so fast. At least I think my heart is green. Am I an invisible friend? Is that what I am? No superpowers or magic? Is that why Livy's mom couldn't see me? And perhaps most importantly, is there someone else like me? I hold my breath until Sarah answers. Not anymore, of course. Instead of being disappointed, my heart quickens even more. Does that mean Sarah's invisible friend found her way home? Maybe Sarah knows how to get me home, too. Ask her. I want to shout to Livy. Ask her how she got Philippa home. Oh, Livy says quickly. I mean, duh, of course. She grabs a cookie from the plate. I can tell she's not going to let this drop. Still, making it sound like no big deal, she asks, so, what kind of things did you guys do together? Philippa, I mean. Sarah reaches for another cookie, too. At the rate they are chomping through these cookies, the hope of any being left over for me is shrinking. I am amazed that I can still think of snacks at an important moment like this, but there you have it. Well, one time you came over and we all had a tea party. Livy stops chewing. I brought my invisible friend over to your house for a tea party? Sarah shakes her head. No, it was only the three of us. You said yours wouldn't want to get dressed up and pretend to drink from little cups. I have to smile. Livy always looked out for me. Though I bet he'd look pretty cute in a tutu, Livy says rather loudly. Clearly she knows I'm eavesdropping. If you say so, Sarah says, then adds, I haven't thought about Philippa in years. What happened to her? At the end, I mean. I know Livy's face so well that even though her back is to me, I know she's holding her breath right now. This is it. This is when I find out how I'll get home. I press my eye right up to the crack and hold my breath, too. Sarah shrugs. I got bored of pretending to see her, I guess. Oh, Livy says. It's a sad oh. Sarah's invisible friend wasn't real. Not in the same way I'm real. I feel foolish and slump to the floor. Unfortunately, I land squarely on the mast of the pirate ship and then jump back up with Legos sticking where Legos shouldn't stick. I must have made a noise because both girls turn to face the closet. Livy jumps up. Thanks for coming today. It was fun. I'm still kind of jet lagged though, so I think I'm going to take a nap. Okay, Sarah says, standing up from the rug. Livy looks all around the room and grabs one of those creepy dolls. Do you want to borrow Abigail? I'm sure my mom won't mind. No thanks, Sarah says, and I think she's finally going to leave because one hand is on the doorknob. But then she says, do you want to hang out later? I can't, Livy says. I'm making a cake with my grandmother now that the baby is out of the house. Then they leave to walk downstairs, and I come out of my closet and sit on the edge of the bed. Only crumbs are left on the cookie tray. Why am I not surprised? Livy comes back in and closes the door and flops on the bed. I think you need a larger chicken suit. That one's like 5 times too small for you now. Before I can argue that no one taught me proper laundry techniques, she reaches under the pillow and pulls out a cookie. Saved you one. I lean past the cookie and reach around and hug her bony shoulders. You smell clean, but what was that for? She asks when I finally let go. For the cookie, for not making me go to a tea party, for tape recording stories for me to listen to even though I never got them. Guess you saw the dancing, she says. You got some good moves. She smiles. I do, don't I? You don't need to feel bad about leaving me in the closet, I blurt out, then take a bite of the cookie. I chomp and talk, and crumbs fly out as I try to explain how I was never alone because I had my imagination to keep me company. Man, this cookie tastes good. When I finally run out of words, she says, didn't anyone tell you not to talk with your mouth full? All I heard between crunches was something about you exploring your inner Bob. I swallow my last bite. That's pretty much the gist of it. You have a Lego stuck to your leg, she says, reaching over to pluck it off. You really didn't get tired of building that same ship over and over? I smile. In between, I'd make whatever word I was reading in the dictionary. The aardvark was my first. I was particularly proud of that one. She tilts her head at me. How many different objects can you make from one pirate ship? Exactly 3,009, so far. She nods, clearly impressed. It is impressive. So, it was a ship, but also all those other things. Yes. She tosses the Lego piece back into the closet and grabs her shoes. Where are you going, I ask. We are going to search the farm for that time capsule Sarah talked about. One thing can be lots of other things, right? So a time capsule can also be a clue. Who knows what I put in there? It could take a while to find it, so bring a flashlight. My spirits rise and rise. We're going on an adventure. We don't need to bring one, I tell her with a grin. Why not? Because I know exactly where you buried it. Libby. I distract Gran by asking for a snack while Bob slips out the back door. We're supposed to meet under the farthest tree in the yard near our Sylvester rock. I find him relaxing against the tree trunk with his eyes closed and his legs straight out in front of him. You look happy, I tell him. I hand him half a slice of banana bread and kneel beside the rock to get to work, feeling around its edges. It's a big rock. How are we going to get under this thing? How could I have hidden something under it when I was 5? I am happy, Bob says cheerfully. We're together, aren't we? We're outside, and we're looking for clues. We're going to find my mother. Like you said, my large family. So I won't be lonely when you leave again. He smiles into the sun. Plus, I have banana bread. It's like a banana with bread. I glance at him as I try to scrape the dirt out from under one side of the rock. It gets under my nails and up my nose. Don't get your hopes up, okay, Bob? He blinks at me. Why not? Old Libby never told me to not get my hopes up. I'm just being careful of your feelings, okay? We don't know for sure that we'll find anything here. Oh, we will, Bob says. We will find whatever the old Libby hid underneath the Sylvester rock. For me, her invisible friend. Bob is 100% sure that the old Libby hid the invisible friend time capsule under the Sylvester rock. He says that for the last 2 days she was at Gran's, old Libby got a certain look on her face whenever we got near this rock. That's how you know, I ask him. My expression 5 years ago? Bob nodded. Oh yes, whenever we came close to this rock, old Libby's face said, I've got a secret. It was loud and clear. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's worth a try. We have to start looking somewhere, and I have to admit that Bob is pretty good at reading faces, especially mine. So I'm scratching the hard-packed dirt away from the sides of the rock, trying to find any gaps where I might have hidden something. Now I'm pretty much coated in dirt dust. I sneeze. I look over at Bob. His eyes are closed. Hey, why are you just sitting there? I'm not just sitting here. I'm feeling the sun on my face, and I'm also being careful of you. I sit back on my heels and try to slap some of the dirt off my hands. It makes a big dust cloud that makes me sneeze again. Careful of me? What are you talking about? He gets a patient look on his face. I'm pretty good at reading Bob's face too, I realize. I am being careful of your fingers, Livy. You are playing very near the rock, and I don't want to drop it on you when I pick it up. He smiles and closes his eyes again. Just tell me when you're done playing in the dirt. I'm not in a hurry. I'm just enjoying the outdoors. I stand up. Bob, I'm not playing. I'm working, and we can't pick up this rock. This rock is huge. First, we're going to dig out some of the dirt underneath, and then we'll both get on one side and we'll try to tilt. I stop talking. Bob has picked up the rock and is holding it over his head. Where should I put it? He asks. If you're done playing. Speechless, I point to the tree he was leaning against, and he carefully props the rock against the tree trunk. Bob, I say, you're strong. He nods, yes. How did you... Look! Because there is something lying in a little dugout place in the dirt almost exactly where I had just been digging. There must have been a little hollow spot under one edge of the rock, but 5 years later it's packed hard with dirt. You were right, Bob. I brush the dirt off the top of whatever it is and pick it up. It's a glass jar sealed with a metal lid. Bob doesn't even look surprised. He just gently puts the Sylvester rock back into place as casually as Superman would. I try the lid, but it won't turn. Bob takes the jar from me, but says, let's open it at Gran's after you wash your hands. This is old Livy's treasure, and I don't want to get it dirty. Bob does his best chicken walk all the way back to the house. It doesn't seem to matter that chickens can't really hold things. Bob. Gran is on the phone in the den, and we slip right past her and up the stairs. Her voice is crackly and high-pitchy, which means she's talking to the bank again. After I supervise her hand-washing, Livy gets to work twisting off the lid. She grunts, she groans. I try to keep still, but it's not easy. Finally, she lowers her arms. This is on good. I must have been stronger when I was 5. You were different strong, I tell her, holding out my palm. She places the jar in my hand, and I only have to twist the tiniest bit, and the lid pops off. I'm sure you loosened it up, I tell her, handing it back. Uh-huh, she peeps in, then turns it over. It takes a few forceful shakes before 3 things fall out onto the bed. 2 pieces of black licorice and a rolled-up photograph of old Libby sitting on the floor in front of the bookshelf in this very room reading a book upside down. The book is upside down, that is. Libby herself is right side up. And that's it. I look at her, and she looks at me. I'd have thought a time capsule would contain more stuff, I say, grabbing a piece of the licorice. You're not really going to eat that, right? It's 5 years old. I pop it in my mouth. Stale licorice is better than no licorice any day. Livy's hand darts out and grabs the second piece before I can get it. Let's make sure you survived the first one, she says, sticking it in her pocket. She picks up the photograph. Why would I have put this one picture in there? She wonders out loud. I'm kind of insulted there's nothing about me in the jar. Would it have been so hard to put in a feather from my chicken suit? She picks up the photo, then flips it over. Hey, Bob, look, something's glued onto the back. She peels it off and holds it up with a grin. It's a feather from your chicken suit. I smile, sheepishly ashamed of myself. Of course, Livy wouldn't have left me out. I take the feather and stick it onto one of the many bare spots on my belly. It's in much better condition than all the rest. The picture is really cute, I tell her, looking closer. Old Livy is obviously pretending to read the oversized book. It looks like a cool book with lots of colorful pictures on both covers. I twist my head until I can read the title. Fairy and Folk Tales from A to Z. It's like my dictionary, A to Z. I don't think I know any fairy or folk tales, but Livy does, or at least her mother does. Livy studies the picture too. Suddenly she grabs my arm. Bob, who does that look like on the cover? She stabs her finger at the picture. What do you mean? I turn it so the book cover is facing the right way and try to identify the objects from the cover. Is that a mermaid? Yes, she says impatiently. It's a mermaid on a rock, a three-headed lion, a lumberjack, a fairy, and you. Me? I grab the photo back. The only drawing on the cover I don't recognize as one of those other things is some kind of short green creature with one eyebrow. Okay, I see why she'd think I bear a slight resemblance to the creature in the drawing, but no, I shake my head. I think you just insulted the character in the book. He's much more handsome than me. Bob, she says, you look exactly like this guy. She pushes me out the door of the bedroom and into the bathroom and makes me face the mirror. I take a step back. I've never really looked at myself before. I turn this way and that, admiring my reflection from all angles. I'm not half bad. I keep preening because it's making her laugh. Then she stops. Seriously, though, this book must tell us what you are. It's been here all along. Come on. She races back to her room and I hurry after. The phone rings and I hear Gran answer it downstairs. Maybe the bank is calling back. It's got to be here somewhere, Livy is saying, pulling books off the shelves with both hands. It's not on the shelves. Maybe it's under the bed, she says. She throws back the covers and ducks down and spreads her arms out like she's swimming. It's not under the bed. Where else could it be? She asks, throwing up her hands. I think about it and it hits me that I know exactly where it is. Livy, the book is at... But before I can tell her that Sarah took it after Livy went back home last time, Gran shouts upstairs, Livy, please come down right away. I need you. She sounds more urgent than I've ever heard her, even more worked up than the time a woman from the bank came all the way to the house. Livy looks torn, but only for a second. She says, I'll be right back. Keep looking. I open my mouth, but she's already flying down the stairs. I sit on the bed and wait. That's where I am when the front door slams and Gran's car drives away, with Livy in it. Well, that stinks. I move to the top of the stairs and listen to all the silence, my chest tight and my head swimmy. This is a familiar feeling. I call it the feeling of Livy leaving suddenly without telling me when or if she's coming back. I know this feeling well. I stand up from the stairs. Livy's not gone for good. I know that this time. No more feeling sorry for myself and waiting. I have a book with a strikingly handsome green creature on the cover to find, and there's no time to waste. I straighten my head comb and use the tape on the desk in the corner of the kitchen to secure a few feathers that are hanging loose. I grab 2 pickles and a loaf of bread, eat 1 pickle and 2 slices of bread with butter. Then I continue my rushing out. I am a not zombie fake chicken on a mission. Livy. Sarah's restaurant is full of worried people and worried voices. A man and a woman stand together over a table, sketching and labeling maps on paper tablecloths. Everett's Paddock, the bush behind Callan's Place, Horse Paddock East, Horse Paddock West, and underneath they're writing people's names. I look around for Sarah, her mom, or her grandpa, but they aren't here. I don't know anyone here. I squeeze the pawn in my hand and tell myself, Bob. Don't forget Bob. I didn't even have a chance to tell him where we were going. When I ran downstairs, Gran was hanging up her yellow kitchen phone. She said, Get your shoes on, honey. I'm wearing them, I said, pointing to my sandals. No, your sneakers. By the time I found them, Gran was already out the door, and I had to run to catch up. Danny is missing, she told me, starting the car. He never came home for lunch. Don't worry yet. She tried to give me a quick smile. He does this from time to time, but the town is organizing a search. Gran and I are at the restaurant to help. This is Sarah's Aunt Deirdre, Gran says quickly, and her husband Malcolm. She turns to them. What can we do? Deirdre scans the paper. You okay with walking the northeast quadrant of the bush behind Callan's place? She points to one of her sketches. From the sheep fence up to the road. I know it's a lot, but there's so much ground to cover. Of course, Gran says. We'll go right now. Malcolm presses a little paper bag into Gran's hand and another one into mine. The restaurant's telephone number is in there in case you have something to tell us, and some snacks and water. It's hot. Don't forget to hydrate. Gran nods and feels for my hand without looking at me, and then we are out the door and into the sunlight again.